there, everyone! Welcome to the second episode of Strange Silver Age. You can call me Cassie Rose, and I'm your host and guide through the bizarre world of Silver Age DC Comics. I guess I should explain what Silver Age means, for those of you that might not know. The Silver Age covers the period of comics released from 1956 to 1970, and it's pretty well known for having some out-there stories. Let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if they were smoking something in the writer's room. Today, we're covering Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane, issue number 27, released in 1961. Specifically, I'll be focusing on the cover story, Lois Lane's Superbrain. Without further ado, let's dive in. So, the cover features two characters, Bizarro and Lois Lane. Bizarro is Superman's mirror image clone from a parallel universe. He talks like a caveman, and he's Superman's opposite in every way. Lois Lane isn't looking very happy as a tear rolls down her face. Probably because she looks like the love child of Megamind and Roxanne right now. Seriously, her forehead is absolutely massive.
Lois, me think you most beautiful girl in universe. Me love you. So you marry me? Yes?
How ugly I must be that this bizarro Superman creature considers me beautiful. The evolution ray that made me super intelligent has turned me into a freak. Looks like we might have to change the title of this comic from Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane to Bizarro's Girlfriend Lois Lane. There's also a large building with Las Vegas plastered on the side. Thank you, convenient building, for literally spelling out exactly where we are. Onto the teaser page. Let me put on my overdramatic narrator voice.
Since there is no one in the world who cannot use an extra helping of brains, girl reporter Lois Lane is anything but alarmed when she learns she's become the smartest woman in the world. The only thing Lois didn't count on is the price she has to pay for her brilliance. How Lois reacts to the discovery that her great genius is as much a curse as a blessing is the shocking story of Lois Lane's Superbrain.
As for what's going on visually with the teaser page, Lois Lane is hiding behind a brick wall near a very tacky light-up sign for Lucky Lady Motel on the roof of a building with some giant dice. Superman is about to land near Lois's hiding place. In a very uncomfortable pose, looks like he's dabbing while trying to stomp on a bug. Oh my gosh, I've been trying to avoid Superman, because if he ever saw me with his oversized head, he'd be shocked by my appearance. But now he's spotted me. I must think fast. How can I avoid a face-to-face meeting? Hey, you never know, Lois. Maybe Superman is into that. I'm sure there's plenty of people with Megamind on their Hear Me Out list. Jokes aside, let's see how Lois Lane became bald with a giant head. The story opens with Lois Lane arriving at an electronics laboratory to interview Professor Holt for a Daily Planet article. Lois's sister, Lucy Lane, is also there to accompany Lois for the interview. But she's mostly there to give exposition on how the professor's invention works in layman's terms. Essentially, it's a giant brain in a jar that absorbs the intelligence of geniuses and stores them. Jeez, how did Professor Holt get a permit for this? This majorly feels like unethical mad science. Professor Holt is like one bad day away from becoming a supervillain. Speaking of Professor Holt, he decides to let Lois see for herself how the machine works. Several renowned intellectuals show up to contribute their intelligence to the brain bank. An archaeologist, a Yale mathematician, and a zoologist. Professor Holt then shares his theory that the machine could be reversed to transfer the knowledge it gathered into someone, but he believes it would have to be repeated daily or else it would wear off in about a week. Lois then proceeds to demonstrate why she isn't smart enough to get her brainwaves added to the machine, running to the extraction chair without the professor's permission and asking Lucy to snap a picture of her with the headset on before Professor Holt notices. There's Too Dumb to Live And there's this. Teaser page wasn't kidding. She could use an extra helping of brains. Lucy tells Lois that maybe this isn't a good idea, but Lois ignores her. What can go wrong? Lois says. Lois, that's exactly what everyone says right before something goes wrong. And, of course, Lois accidentally reverses the switch on the machine, and all the knowledge stored in it is downloaded to her brain. She brushes it off, saying that it's fine, probably, maybe, hopefully. Lois and Lucy begin walking back to Lois's apartment, and Lois suddenly rattles off a list of random facts about the constellations out that night. Lucy is stunned by this, as she's used to her sister being stupid, and she comes to the realization that there's no denying the fact that Lois was affected by the machine. Lois wakes up with a strong headache the next day, and discovers that her brain has enlarged to hold all the new knowledge in her head. Lois laments that she now has a big bald dome head, but Lucy reassures her that the professor said it would wear off in a week. Lucy also tells Lois that she at least has the silver lining of being the smartest woman in the world, while she waits for the effects to wear off. But all Lois cares about is that Superman might see her and think she's ugly. Lois has several shenanigans with trying to hide her massive head, like hiding her head under a hair-drying machine when her boss shows up at her apartment, wearing a Nefertiti hat on a televised appearance where she speaks about the discovery of a new Egyptian tomb, and sticking her head in the sand at the zoo. Are we sure she has enhanced intelligence? Anyway, Lois Lane decides to take a couple weeks off work for a vacation in Las Vegas, so she won't risk anyone who knows her seeing her Megamind head. Of course, she doesn't get her wish, and runs into one of her old classmates on a casino honeymoon. Turns out her former classmate's idiot husband blew all their money at Las Vegas casinos, and now the young newlyweds are broke. Lois decides that she has to help her old classmate, sneaking into the casino in exotic dancer getup. Lois Lane dresses up as Carmen Miranda was not on my bingo card for this story, but it's definitely something that happened. Now that she's inside the casino, Lois uses her enhanced intelligence to make all the math calculations necessary for the couple to win their money back, and luckily her plan works. Lois then randomly wanders into a sci-fi costume ball and wins first place thanks to her extremely realistic makeup, while she sobs about her large head making her a freak of nature. As Lois heads back to her hotel, she panics when she sees a shadow that looks like Superman. But it's actually Bizarro, who immediately thinks Lois's new Megamind look is hot and proposes to her. See, Lois? I told you someone was into it. However, Lois isn't into Bizarro, and sobs about how she must be truly ugly if the twisted, upside-down mind of Bizarro considers her beautiful. Jeez, Lois, those are some harsh words. The next morning, when Bizarro visits her to follow up on the marriage proposal, he says she's hideous now and flees. Lois takes this to mean that she's back to normal, and she's right. Let me just read off what Lois says in the last panel. The brain transfer wore off during the night. How wonderful. Any girl would prefer her own pretty face to having a super brain if she's really smart. Now I can go home and face Superman, the only person with a super brain and super good looks. Oh boy. I have some thoughts on this one. I do feel like the insanity of the plot lived up to the cover, but yikes. The story really was a product of its time. Horribly sexist, and pushing the idea that being pretty is much more important than being intelligent. Lois's conventionally attractive face was completely unchanged. She just became bald with a large forehead, which made all her whining about being hideous throughout the issues seem extremely overdramatic. Let me just say, I can tell this was written by a dude. thank you for joining me for the second episode of Strange Silver Age. Once again, I'm Cassie Rose, signing off for now. I've got some crime to fight, and I'll see you later.